In March 2022, the body of a young woman was found mutilated and dismembered, stuffed in garbage bags thrown from a cliff in Italy. The remains were barely identifiable, and the horror that followed would expose one of the most premeditated and disturbing murders in recent history. Her name was Carol Maltese, an adult film actress, a mother, and a woman who dreamed of freedom and peace. Her case shocked not only Italy but much of Europe and has since sparked conversations about safety within the adult industry. This wasn't a crime of passion. It was a calculated execution, carried out under guise of a filmed scene, but fueled by jealousy, manipulation, and cruelty. In this documentary-style deep dive, we'll trace Carol's life from her childhood in Italy to her rise in the adult industry, the dangerous entanglement with her killer, and the betrayal that cost her everything. This case is about more than murder. It's about control, exploitation, and a justice system that many feel failed. It's a cautionary tale about obsession and silence, and how both can become deadly. Early life, the girl with big dreams. Carol Maltese was born in 1995 in Sestocalent, Italy, to a Dutch father and Italian mother. After her parents separated, she was raised by her hard-working mother, who juggled multiple jobs to keep them afloat. Carol was lively, bright, and creative. She loved books, dancing, and horseback riding, and had a natural flair for languages and storytelling. Her resilience in the face of adversity helped shape her strong and empathetic personality. Despite hardships, Carol remained optimistic and close to her mother, especially as her mother battled a neurodegenerative disease in later years. She entered college in 2015 and gave birth to a son in 2016. Young, hopeful, and determined, Carol believed she could juggle motherhood, love, and ambition, until circumstances turned against her. Those who knew her remember a determined young woman with a sparkle in her eyes and dreams bigger than her surroundings. Struggles in reinvention, finding her voice online. Life became tougher after her split from her child's father. Trying to rebuild, she moved to Verona in search of work. Financial stress worsened during the pandemic, and Carol struggled to provide for her son. With mainstream jobs drying up, she experimented with content creation, first on YouTube, then on OnlyFans. The digital world offered a lifeline where traditional paths had closed, and Carol embraced it with entrepreneurial spirit. She adopted the name Charlotte Angle and found success in adult content, arguing it was no less legitimate than any other performance art. She gained fans, financial stability, and eventually an invitation into adult films. But success brought social judgment, isolation, and eventually danger. What was empowerment for Carol became a source of insecurity for those around her. She also faced stigma and misunderstanding from friends and strangers alike, even as she worked tirelessly to support her family. Meeting the killer, David Fontana. In 2020, Carol met 42-year-old banker David Fontana through a photography shoot. Though married, David pursued Carol and began filming her content, even profiting from her work. Their relationship evolved from transactional to romantic, with David divorcing his wife and moving in with Carol. His charm masked deeper issues that would eventually unravel in devastating ways. While he appeared supportive on the surface, behind the scenes David was growing possessive and disturbed. When Carol tried to rekindle ties with her ex or planned her departure from the industry, David's jealousy intensified. He threatened Carol's ex and grew obsessed with controlling her, especially as her popularity and independence increased. Friends say he would track her whereabouts and frequently snoop through her messages and plans. A career and love life at odds. Despite her turbulent relationship with David, Carol remained a rising star. She traveled across Europe for shoots, accepted custom content requests, and eventually fell in love with fellow adult actor Salvatore Galda. They got engaged, and Carol began dreaming of returning to Verona to be near her son and leave the industry for good. Her future was finally starting to align with her heart's desires. David, however, was not part of that dream. Though still filming her content and benefiting financially, he realized she was pulling away. Losing her meant losing power, money, and the one person he believed he controlled completely. So he devised a way to ensure that if she left, it would be on his terms. His jealousy morphed into calculated rage, and that would set his murderous plan into motion. The disappearance, silence, and lies. In early 2022, Carol disappeared. Her social media fell silent. Friends stopped hearing from her, and responses to messages were limited to vague texts. David claimed she'd gone to Dubai, or was isolating due to COVID. To outsiders, it seemed plausible, but close friends were increasingly suspicious. Behind the scenes, he was using Carol's phone to maintain the illusion that she was alive, responding to texts, posting old photos, and blocking anyone who asked too many questions. For 2 months, he kept up this lie, even using her accounts to buy tools, rent storage, and cover his tracks. He even scheduled fake shoots to avoid suspicion, and kept using her accounts to pay for items. The horrific discovery, garbage bags and a cliff. On March 20th, 2022, a hiker in Borno discovered several large black garbage bags at the bottom of a cliff. Inside were human remains, dismembered, partially burned, and stored in cold conditions before being dumped. Forensics identified tattoos that had been damaged or cut off to hinder recognition. Eventually, the body was confirmed to be Carol's. Experts suggested the killer had butchering experience. Carol had been kept in a freezer for weeks, mutilated with precision. Her death was staged to delay identification and discovery. Breakthrough, a journalist deduction. Journalist Andrea Torelli played a pivotal role. Following inconsistencies in an anonymous online tip, he traced tattoos seen in adult videos to Carol. Pretending to be an interviewer, he texted her phone, only to realize someone else was replying, possibly the killer. He presented his findings to police, and within days, David Fontana filed a suspicious missing person report. Interrogated, he cracked under pressure. He admitted he had killed Carol during an extreme video shoot, claiming it went too far. But evidence showed it was no accident, murder, or scripted execution. Fontana confessed that he posed as a fan requesting a violent video, detailing steps like taping, beating, and choking. He created a fake client and booked the shoot. Once Carol agreed, trusting it would be staged, he struck her with a hammer, suffocated her, and cut her throat, then stored her in a freezer for weeks. David's testimony was inconsistent, and prosecutors argued he fabricated the story to mask premeditated murder. His real motive? Control. Carol wanted out of the relationship and out of the industry. David couldn't handle losing her, especially to someone else. Trial and sentencing, justice or not enough. In June 2023, David Fontana was sentenced to 30 years in prison. The prosecution pushed for life, but the court ruled the murder was not sufficiently premeditated to justify the maximum penalty. Carol's family was devastated. Her young son would grow up without his mother. David was also ordered to pay 180,000 euros to the child and smaller sums to Carol's parents and ex-partner. The verdict was met with public outrage. Psychiatrists confirmed David was sane, fully aware, and calculating. Yet the sentence felt hollow to those who saw the case not as accidental, but as execution dressed up as consent. 11. Legacy, a voice that won't be silenced. Carol's tragic story serves as a haunting reminder of the hidden dangers in seemingly consensual relationships and industries. She was a woman who tried to reclaim her life and identity, only to be killed by someone who wanted control over both. Today, activists and journalists call for better protections for adult entertainers and stricter penalties for calculated domestic crimes. Carol's name lives on as a symbol of resilience, vulnerability, and the very real cost of unchecked power. 12. Final thoughts. Your voice matters. Carol Maltese's life was more than her job, more than her past. She was a mother, a daughter, a dreamer, and a victim of a man who refused to let her go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Could more social awareness have saved her? Did justice truly prevail? If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe. Let Carol's memory fuel a conversation we can't afford to ignore. Her story deserves to be remembered, not as a warning, but as a call for change.